if I sit, please pardon me for a moment, but I wanted to be here. When Mr. Pollard asked me to be here to talk about feeder school programs, I said absolutely. This presentation is not meant to pour salt in anyone's wound, but to give you resources of how to get our programs moving. So we started some real conversation about feeder programs, and I'm not even worried about the PowerPoint, the presentation, because you have my notes, and I kind of want to pick up on the conversation that we had. My brother in the back said he's a vocal, I think he's a vocal major, he's at 3 different schools, all kind of things happening, and so that might be a little bit of our story. But I want to kind of poll the room of where we are on feeder programs. How many of you have, or talk to me a little bit about the feeder program networks you have, or the lack thereof. So let's start there so I can know how to gear the presentation, because I think I'm going to flip this just a little bit, just to meet the needs of the group. So high school, how many high school directors we have? High school directors, talk to me a little bit, just a couple people tell me a little bit. I like interactive. So me just standing and presenting don't work well for me, and you have to talk to me just a little bit. So let's talk about high school directors. Tell me about the networks that you have that you're working with, or the lack thereof.
My district just this year addressed my feeder schools. I'm doing a band director at every feeder school starting next school year.
Congratulations.
So I'm trying to see, they're asking me for advice, so I need to, this information will be very valuable.
Awesome. So we're going to hopefully give you some resources to help build what you're getting. And so that's awesome to hear that you are, that somebody's voice has been heard, that you're getting those connections. Go ahead.
Every middle school in my parish has a band program. Unfortunately, they don't put the kids that will be coming from high school in their program at all. So I may get one kid to come in.
One kid a year out of how many ever come? Okay. Any other high school directors? What about middle school? How many middle school directors we have? Middle school directors, who's your feeder, or are you just the primary feeder? Talk to me a little bit about the systems where you are. You don't teach middle school. Go ahead.
There are some schools that have music programs. Veterans Center for Visual Performing Arts is one that have a lot of programs, but it's primarily a gifted school that you kind of have selected enrollment. Most of my kids come from schools that are not selected enrollment, and they come with no experience. Like 6th grade is their first musical class.
Okay. Anyone else from middle school? Go ahead.
I feed myself from my elementary school that I teach at, because I do K-5 general music, and then I started instrumental music in 6th grade.
Okay. So you're teaching elementary and middle. You're feeding
Elementary, middle, and high.
Oh, you're teaching 3 levels.
Yes.
Okay. Come on, we heard from you. Come on, tell us. Go ahead, tell us. We feeling you back up here.
I'm at the middle school. Originally, when I first got there were 3 classes, 6, 7, and 8 grade. Now, all students are in 1 class at the middle school. So I have beginners and class for 8th grade and 7th grade.
All right. Do we have any other elementary school teachers that are kind of starting? And college directors, we're all feeding you. So if we're not feeding you, you don't have programs. That's just the bottom line. So everything that happens is affecting everyone that's here. So let's talk about it. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. And again, it's not to pour salt in the room, but so you can understand. So I'm originally from Alabama, but I grew up in the Baltimore area. My dad's a pastor, so they moved us to Baltimore. I started band in Baltimore City Schools in 3rd grade. So we started in 3rd grade. We had a great program. About 6 schools fed into my middle school, which was Chinquapin Middle School. When I got into Chinquapin Middle School, there was about 300 kids into the program, which fed into the area high schools. We applied for high schools, and so the high school bands were huge. That's not the case now. Baltimore City Schools have no elementary school programs, a couple of middle schools, and which means the high schools are in a situation like many of you are. They're starting kids from the beginning. Now let's talk about where I am now. I'm in Harford County Public Schools. You'll see the demographics of where we are. I'm probably about 20 miles north of Baltimore. And if you do a Google search on Harford County, what you're going to see is budget cuts. We're facing $40 million in budget cuts this year as a district. So what's the first thing to go? Music? Okay, so in my building, I'm in a middle school right now. There are 3 full-time music teachers, or orchestra teacher, chorus teacher, and myself, I'm band, and I'm department chair also. School of 1,100, and Javon is my witness. I brought him in this year to do some clinic work for us. 1,100 kids. So this year, because of budget cuts, we're losing 6 teaching positions in the building and 1 administrator. Are they cutting music? No, they're not. They're not touching us. They're actually not touching us. And you're probably like, what? How's that possible? Because of how we've set up our feeder network, they won't touch us. They're not touching, and it's not our voice. But you need to understand that. Our voice is a small part of this, but your parents' voices, your community voices is where this all happens. So let's talk about how we can make this work. I'm going to kind of flip this, and I'm going to go from the back of the presentation because that's just kind of how I do this. When you started talking, it reminded me a lot of, we were at a conference in December, and Iron asked the same question. He, in a room full of professionals, hey, I'm starting from Niagara, what do I do? And the lady said, well, I don't know. Well, the easy answer is to leave. But then what happens, in most of our areas with no feeder networks, are you teaching mostly minority children? Are you teaching, what are you teaching there? Are you teaching mostly black kids that look like you? So it's our program. So we leave us, there's nothing that's there. So how is it that I'm in Harford County, who they're cutting teaching positions, but they won't touch music, and Baltimore City has almost eliminated it, and we're just about 20 miles north. What 20 miles difference is that? Well, let's talk about what it's all about. One thing we have to do, we have to use our voice for music advocacy. I know you hear it. I know you talk about it. But how many of you attended at least one board meeting this year? At least one. When I tell you that's awesome, that's awesome. You got to do it. So we're going to look at these handouts. I'm going to just give you some resources. I'm going to get out your way so we can get the rest of the presenters up. So community engagement is a big part of it. What I found out over my 20 years is that my parents and my kids have the voice. So when they started the budget cut conversation, teachers were jumping up and down. They ain't there. But the last 2 board meetings, we got our buildings actively engaged. And let me tell you, it's hard sometimes when I'm working 2 and 3 jobs, it's hard, you know, as a parent to get out there. Because I'm in a community of, if you look at my population, we're, I think, 53% African American. All my demographics are there. High poverty, high need. But guess what? We had to get the parents out there. We got some teachers who donated time and money to get them kids on some buses. The kids went and spoke at the board meetings. And they have to tell the value of the program. Their parents came out. And let me tell you, the voicing was different. It wasn't, because we can jump up and down all day, oh, they just want this, they just want that. But when the kids are making a statement and the parents are making a statement, that's where your power comes from. So your parent engagement, let me tell you, if there comes to a battle of the band, get them to speak on your behalf. You gotta let them see, a lot of times I feel like I'm educating not only the children, but I'm educating the parent and the community. I have to educate my community. When I started the school that I'm in, we would have a concert, the parents would drop them off. I had 5 people in the audience. What is this? What is this? And so then I had to educate the parents. You know, we're doing this. I hear them all the time. And so I had to make some connections with parents. We do it all the time. We make connections with families. Make connections with the family. You have to market what you're doing. Make those connections with the family because they have to be in your corner. If they try to touch Miss Bell, all hell's will break loose in Harford County Public Schools. I'm telling you. Because I have parents who are like, oh no, and then something didn't go right this year. I already got it. I have a parent, I already documented it. I'm sending it to the board. Not to my principal, to the board. Those are the kind of, you have to have some people to go behind you to support you. Because if you do it, they might let you go, especially if you don't have tenure. But the parents, what are they going to do with them parents? They are the financial backing behind it. And then there's another interesting part of this. So we have the family connections, the parent booster. There's an interesting part of the conversation. And I was talking with some people about it this weekend. So when they decided to cut Baltimore City elementary schools, they gave them some crumbs. What they did was they created POW community centers. They gave them instruments, they gave them community programs, and gave kids kind of an outlet of other things to do. And everybody was like, oh, this is wonderful. And they were clapping. And I said, oh, we have community bands. And so the kids still have music. But what you don't realize is you took jobs away from people, and the kids are not getting a comprehensive music education. So you gave us crumbs, but yet and still we're clapping. No, we don't clap for that. Because what that is a tax write-off for somebody. Let's tell the truth. My name is Mr. Einstein, and I've just given $100,000. So it's a tax write-off to me, and guess what? Your programs are still dying, and it doesn't matter because my kids have everything that they need for a program. Does that make sense? I need you to think about it. So now we're in a culture of all kinds of things happening, and I don't knock it. I love everything that's happening with the band programs, the all-star bands, those are great things. But what we have to fight for is in the music in our schools, because that's what's going to stabilize your jobs. And I'm talking to college directors now. What stabilizes your jobs is that elementary teacher who's pushing kids to the middle school teacher who's putting teachers to the high school who's pushing people to the college. Does that make sense? All right, so let's look at this. Getting involved in the community. I had a video, we might be able to pull it up. I had a video of some community things that we have done that's kind of, we make music, but really to engage our communities. We live, the power of our community and our voice is an amazing thing. This brother here, my brother, what's your name? What is your name?
Tyrone.
Tyrone, he shouldn't feel like he's out here by himself. Can I tell you that? Because all of us are right in here with him. Like when it's time for him to start cutting up about the fact that he's in 3 schools, he should have a whole network of people who are like, what meeting do we need to write letters? Do we need to go somewhere? We have to use our voice collectively. Healthy competition is wonderful. That's a wonderful thing. But in order to secure our jobs, we have to make sure that we're pulling behind this brother in every community, every setting. We have to be willing to do that. Guess what? Everyone else does it. We just haven't figured it out all the time as an African American community how to do it. We haven't totally figured it out. We haven't figured out how to advocate. I've had this book forever. The Value of Music Education. I use it when I need to. But do we really know the research that we not do? Can we speak the language to go to board meetings, to push for our causes? Do we have the research? Because let me tell you, when you're an educator, don't tell me your words. Tell me what is the research saying. That's what they want to know. So do we have the resources to really put it out there? That's what we want to know. So then you have, and on the community level, different things you can kind of consider. I'm not sure the networks here in this area because I'm not from here, I'm from Maryland, but the BSO has developed partnerships, that's the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, with our local schools. And so they've hired on some teachers to work. They do a side-by-side orchestration project with our school systems. And so they bring in teachers, they bring in their musicians, and they do side-by-side lessons almost every day after school. I think it's at least about 2 or 3 times a week. Then they do big concerts all the way throughout the year. I'm not sure who your local organization is, but they're always looking for how to engage the community. Baltimore Ravens and the Baltimore Ravens band, they're a great one for our community also. You have resources. We got to do a little bit of work. I would love to just go and teach band and roll out, but in order to stabilize my job, it just really doesn't work like that. I have to always think about, okay, if my daughter decides in 3 years she wants to teach me, is this job going to be here? How do I create a legacy? That's another part of that legacy. How do I create a legacy that continues on so that we have music education, music band programs in our schools? One conversation we have to kind of talk about is advocating in our local schools. How many of you are a part of your school improvement team, SIT team, school leadership team, ILT, whatever that? Raise your hand if you're a part of that. All right, I need y'all to look around for a second. What I had to learn over 20 years is that's who make the decisions in the building. Summertime, this time of year, I'm going to be in that SIT team meeting, ILT. I love to be just chill on vacation all the time, whatever. But ILT is where the decisions are made about scheduling. They're having conversations about who's coming into your building. We'll talk about that network of, because everybody has a feeder in essence. You may not have a direct music feeder, but they're feeding. So how do you make the connections with the elementary schools? I have 5 elementary schools that feed me. 5 elementary schools at this point. I know the principals and I know the teachers, and we have regular conversations. So how did I develop that network? We're going to talk about that a little bit. But a part of that is getting on that school advisory SIT team meeting. I have a high school director who's my high school. If I have to explain my campus, I'm actually on a campus. There's an elementary school, there's a parking lot. My middle school, parking lot, literally parking lot, and then there's the high school. So we have a really strong, a tight bond, a tight community. So the elementary school has, the orchestra teacher actually teaches part-time there, and then she goes over to the high school. So she's kind of feeding herself, but it's that middle transition. But they have, I think, 3 or 4 teachers at the elementary school. I told you we have 3. The high school teacher is starting to struggle. I send him about 50 kids a year, but he's struggling because of scheduling. He don't have a seat at the table. They're an IB magnet school, so they're a magnet school, and IB has the first conversation when it comes down to scheduling. At my building, it don't work like that. My schedule is done for next year, because it's better what the schedule looks like for next year, how many kids you have coming in. So I'm able to show, before I went out, I'm on FMLA, I'm not supposed to be on this presentation, but before I left out, I had a list. I think I have it here somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. Had a list of the kids who's coming into the music department next year. Out of 1,100, we had 524 that's a part of the music department. They got to start conversations with us. They have to start the conversation, because guess what? Everything has to resolve around making sure we get those kids scheduled. But if I didn't have a seat at the table, these kids wouldn't be in music. Oh, let's get them into the language arts 1 credit so they can have it for high school. No, my principal's like, no, we'll start with it. So I had to complete the band schedule, and guess what? Everything in the building was working around band, chorus, and orchestra schedule. But that took some time to develop, and that's not heaven. Oh, she's bragging. No, I had to get in the trenches, get in the grind. I had to act crazy a little bit about it. Guess what? When it didn't work out one year, I couldn't act stupid about it. Miss Smith, your child's not in band this year because they said that. Oh, what? Miss Smith called Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson called whatever, and they was all calling the school. 410-638-14. Miss Williams, my kid is not in band. I don't understand. And guess what? They start shaking because they don't want to hear from the parents. Your parents, it goes back to your parents again. Get a seat at the table. If it opens up, ask questions. If you're newer to the profession, ask questions about being on your SIT team, your IL team. Hey, is there somebody who's on scheduling this summer? Somebody doing it. Somebody's doing scheduling. Can I see a list of the kids who are coming in? Those are kind of conversations we have to have. There's so many things you guys kind of do. Fundraising. We talk about, my brother here talked about being self-sufficient. And one reason music programs are cut is because it's expensive. Let's be honest. We talk about all this money, $100,000 in instruments. That's not a sneeze. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. And so when you're constantly pulling in their pocket, then they have to figure out what's more important here. All right, I need these math scores, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to give them some textbooks and music. They'll be okay. So then we have to figure out how to be self-sufficient. I am a fundraising guru. For a music department, we do well because we fundraise. $20,000 a year for middle school is not bad for a music department. I'm telling you, that's what we're working with. We do differently on instruments. I can't talk to Conselma about instruments. It don't work that way in my district. My music supervisor do that. So I would love to be able to sign a contract, but that'll be the end of my job. That's just real. That's not my thing. But we do well. We do very well. So we have to fundraise. I know you guys do parades, you do all kinds of things. The less you have to go in their pocket, it's helpful in keeping your job. So when they're looking at keeping the music program, they're like, oh, they're actually kind of beneficial because when I fundraise for me, here's a secret. It's one of the old school secrets. When I fundraise for me, the school is always involved in it. They always gonna get something. So we're big. We do one big fundraiser every year that I get the whole school in it. It's a big jump for me. But guess what? We're gonna split the profit in half. Half to the school, half to the music department. My principal ain't touching me because we have probably about $15,000 in lunch debt that I just helped them out with because we did some major fundraising. So we have to look at, and I know that's oh my God, that's a lot of work. But guess what? If you want your jobs, if you want people to really look at you and maintain what you're doing, to really be like, oh, let me see what I can do for you, you have to think on that level, especially in secondary education. All right, so I'm going to flip this around just a little bit.
What's the fundraiser that you do? That's half school, half you guys?
Half school, half. Let me tell you, you're not going to believe how easy it is. So there's only 2 fundraisers I do a year. The first one I do, and you have to know your community. Let me tell you this, know your community. You got to know your community. Yankee Candle works well. That's an easy one, and that's a direct profit for our kids for our end of the year trip. So that one works easy. I don't touch that. I don't get anything off of that one. But let me tell you simply, world's finest chocolate. The max profit, we were the top sellers in our Northeast district, my little middle school. because of it's about how you set it up. It's not hard to set it up and to make sure you get your money, because some kids will take that candy. Them kids take that candy, you ain't gonna see your $60. You don't want that to happen to you too, but I'll be glad to talk to you about it. But the first year, we raised $50,000. We split it right down the middle. School got $25,000, we got 20. We said, oh, we're gonna do a courtyard project. I don't know what they did with that money. School ain't my business. But the music department got our 25, we went about our business. So you can, that's the easiest one. We have a list of fundraisers that you can do to bring in revenue. I've heard people talk about going parades and all those things. Those things are wonderful. 3 to 4 weeks, we did $50,000, but we engaged the whole school. We made it a big hoorah, like, oh, school pride. And everybody in the community knew who Edgewood was because of those little candy bars with our name on it. So we marketed the little candy, we made our little money, and we showed some pride in the community. People in the community know who I am, and I'm like, do a candy bar? Really? Do a candy sale? Yeah, they kind of figured it out. So that's just a part of it. So in secondary school, what can we do to build these feeder programs? All right, so you don't have anybody. We talked about the advocacy part. That's the big part. So then you'll have conversations like my brother who says, okay, now we're getting this. So what do? Online portfolios are super, super helpful, especially to the teachers who are feeding under you. So we have as a district, like share a drive or something like that, where we can share files. We can't be selfish with our stuff if you're going to kind of try to build each other in resources. If you don't have the resources, we share it. We create an online portfolio. My elementary school can go kind of see what we're doing, and I go and I kind of support them. I make it a point to get to those elementary school concerts. It's a pain in the neck, and I don't like hearing music, I'm just going to be honest. But guess what? They want to see my face, and some of them want to come just because I built the relationship in the community. Noah talked about building those relationships as an important part of it. Someone want to come just because they know me, they've seen me so much. I'm going to come and be in your band. Okay. That's important. Don't take those things lightly, because that's important into what you're doing. Side-by-side concerts, super important. A lot of you do band days, those things are awesome. Preps for assessments, we go to Maryland State assessments, whatever we're doing, it's helpful when we have our college colleagues come and bring kids, and they sit side by side and work with our assessments. So I'm going to kind of flip back and forth with a few of the resources. Colleges are an essential part of this, especially those with music education programs. I'm right here at Towson State University, or Towson University, Morgan, and University of Delaware. Our school community has built a great relationship with the colleges, and they have their student teachers to come down and work with our kids. We work with the directors, and when we can have master class days, all those things are super important. I don't want to skip around, so let me go through the list, because if I don't, I'm going to mess up. So here we go. Let's go through the list. So we're going to how to develop feeder school programs. I started with the college level because sometimes colleges don't realize how important they are to this. When you have comprehensive programs, then you're able to send people in the field to know how to build comprehensive programs. And in essence, they're feeding you. They should be. They should feed you. They should be feeding you. Yeah, we like to send our kids everywhere, but ultimately my kids get that conversation, you going to Florida State. We have that conversation because I want to continue to build that program. He's constantly putting people in the field, so it actually makes his recruitment a little bit easier. Now, I'm not telling you to send people everywhere, because you should. It's all helpful. But when you look out in the field and you see a whole bunch of Southern University alumni, some Jackson State alumni, that's important. That's really important to the field. Partner with your local schools on the college level, partner with them. Listen, I love your website, I do. But when I see Velvet Miles walk into my band room and my kids see him, that's something totally different. When he's doing a clinic with them, Javon came down and did a clinic with my band. Guess what? Mr. Miles came and did a workshop and clinic with them too. Those kind of things are important because kids need to see the next level to keep them in there. Method classes, college directors, how many of you teaching like woodwind brass method? All those kind of things. Y'all teaching those kind of things? Use real kids. Come on, bring them to my kids. Give them the real life experience. I know we did the whole thing. We exchanged instruments. I'm a tuba player, okay. Trumpet player, teacher. We did some exchange things. That's wonderful. Now I need you to come teach my little 6th grade run rat, see how that method really works. They need to see that. Bring them out to the field at least once a week. That's helping us, but it's helping your student teachers at the same time. Side-by-sides, we do side-by-sides with the college programs. That's awesome. Small performances, people don't realize how helpful that is on the collegiate level when you bring a small jazz ensemble in and they can hear characteristic tone of the instrument, not just on the recording. Those things are super important. Clinics and workshops, faculty recitals and open houses. My most impressive moment going into college was seeing a faculty recital. That was a part of a deciding factor for me for college. I'm like, man, if the faculty is this lit, that's where I'm going. That's an important part of it. It helps to continue to build your program. Returning older students to support younger musicians, same thing. Master classes are super important. Colleges have the network. So we had Wynton Marcellus, and that's a big deal for us in Maryland. I know he's local to the areas down here, but when he came in and did a jazz workshop, man, that was like a huge thing for us. That was when you have master classes, people to come in and do master classes, those are super important things. You gotta get in the trenches with the educators. See what the people that you know are in the field, your students, see what they need. Don't leave them out there hanging. See what they need. Don't rely on them always just to come back to you, but it's okay to see what they need. Advocate on the college level. Secondary programs, I'm going to skip anything that's not there. Area days, I had some pictures. I'm not going to worry about it. We do area days. That means everyone I want to feed into my program, I'm going to invite them in. How it works is I'm the middle school director. I work with the elementary kids. I spend some time, a whole day, working with them. It's a field trip. We go over to the high school. While I'm working with them, the high school director is working with my middle school kids, introducing them to the program. That evening, we do a concert. Start with the elementary school. I direct them. Middle school, I end up directing them too, and then the high school director, then it's the high school. So then the community can also see the progression, and it makes them want them to stay in. Important part of this. So don't forget about your band days, your community days. We did a Lived Up project. If I can find it and put it in, I'll put it up there. And that's one of the cross-curricular connections. I told you we were on the campus of 3 buildings. We did a project where we started at the elementary school and showed the progression. We did a whole one-take Lived Up thing. It was the coolest thing I think I've ever done in my career. And we blasted it all over the thing. It went viral. It's all over the community. So if you put in Edgewood Lived Up in 2013, you can actually see it. And it actually showed the progression. Every time you celebrate your schools and the kids and the community, and you blast it, it's an important part of what we do. Let's see. Partner with guidance and feeder schools. This is super important. When the high school counselors come into my building, sometimes I don't know. And let me tell you, I have a fit. I have a fit because I need to be able to give my kids guidance about where they're going, why they're going, why you're selecting this high school, all those kind of things. I need to know who's coming from the elementary school, whether they play an instrument or not. I don't care. Everybody gets our little, hey, welcome. We have this to offer. Would you like to sign up for band, chorus, and orchestra? There's a form right here. They give it to us so that at least we can start from there. Put your materials out to the kids because sometimes you think they know, they don't really know. They're excited to go to high school. They're excited to go to middle school. Let them be a part of that. Musical performance, all those things are important. Develop non-music connections to your feeders, important. Enrichment clubs, after-school networks, those kind of things. The people who are not having programs, guess what? It may be as simple as, it's not really simple, but it may be as simple as you might have to go to, hey, talking to the middle school and starting, can I start a full week after school, introduce kids to some instruments, those kind of things. Those kind of things you may have to do and kind of get them kind of excited about it. We did it with steel drum. We did it with a steel drum program. We wanted to introduce steel drum, so we did it through the elementary school. Hey, let's invite them over. Let's do this, let's do that. As simple as that. Instruments, so you guys talked about console when you got excited. I told you we don't have a budget for instruments like that. That's not what we have. So what can you do? I don't have a feeder school because I don't have instruments. So people have gone through VH1. I know some schools who had some success, but how many of you have old, broken instruments, people who stopped playing all those things kind of around? A lot of people probably do. In our school district, we started what's called Band Together program, and the teachers, we do it. We want to get a kid an instrument in every kid's hand. Some kids can't afford to rent an instrument. They can't afford it. Their parents are not really interested in it or whatever. So what we have is a program called Band Together. So I may have 2 broken clarinets or whatever. We ask the community to donate old instruments, and we repair them and rent them out or lease them out to the kids for the school year. So if a kid is living in poverty, can't afford to get an instrument, every kid can get an instrument in their hand because the community donates. They get a nice, we made it a 501c company through the school system now. So they're able to actually get tax credit. Sorry, I put a timer on myself for this. they're actually able to get tax credit for it. Who repairs instruments? We do. We do. So if I'm a tuba player, maybe I have all the low brass instruments. And so when a school needs it, they'll call me, hey, I have 2 kids who need instruments. The band together have instruments. And the kids are responsible for taking care of them, okay? So you have a whole packet of information. Hopefully it's helpful to you. I'm gonna pause here and take any questions about developing, strengthening, feeding networks. Any questions?
The band together program, we did, yeah, I think what is it, something that's out together.
So it's something it started as teachers who just wanted to put it together. There was a lot of kids who wanted to play instruments and the parents couldn't afford it. So he just started asking for donations of instruments. And so we were able to get donations of instruments. He spent his time putting it together. And when I say it's grown from there, it's just really grown from there. Once we figured it out, we figured out how to do the grant writing for it, 501(c), make it nonprofit. So the instruments are housed in probably 3 different elementary schools now. So right now, if I'm short trumpets and a parent really can't rent one, I can call a particular teacher and say, hey, do you have any trumpets available for next school year? And she'll send a contract over with the kid. But it's something totally run by the teachers. Teachers are your most powerful network. We have to network and help each other. Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I'll be glad to give you that resource. The other thing that I failed to mention is don't forget, use the network of teachers in your district to help you strengthen your young players. So if I'm a tuba player, we spend some days we have one teacher that's a French horn player, one's a clarinet player, whatever. This month, we're gonna go to this school and give these kids some intensive lessons and work with them one-on-one. Bring in specialists within your district. I think one of the best networks that I've seen is the Cobb County Public Schools. I know those teachers work hard together. And so that's, again, we have to eliminate that competition for the sake of our programs and job security, okay? All right, I appreciate you being here. Hope you got something out of this.
Any other questions for Ms. Bell? All right, thank you so much, Ms. Bell.